6 p.m. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Kanuz Ashraf. First, the headlines. Prime Minister has urged private sector to play a leading role towards enhancement of country's export. Foreign Minister has underlined the need for Pak-Afghan joint efforts to eradicate terrorism. Election Commission will issue schedule for the Senate elections tomorrow. 7 people have died in a road mishap in Khizr today. Complete shutdown was observed against Indian state terrorism in Shopian and Pulwama districts of occupied Kashmir today. 49 militants have been killed in Turkish airstrikes in northern Iraq. New Zealand has supported imposition of economic sanctions against North Korea. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Shahid Khaqan Abbasi says the government is actively working on improving ease of doing business in the country. He was talking to a delegation of Federation of Pakistan Chambers of Commerce and Industry, headed by its president Ghazanfar Bilor, that called on him in Islamabad today. The Prime Minister said that a policy was also under consideration to encourage people bring their capital back to the country and invest in productive sectors of the economy. He said that a proposal for reduction of taxes was also under consideration in order to facilitate documentation of economy and broadening of the tax base. Shahid Khaqan Abbasi said that private sector should play a leading role towards enhancement of country's exports. The government welcomed the proposals from the private sector and would continue to facilitate the business community in every possible manner. The Prime Minister congratulated the newly elected office bearers of the FPCCI. Issues relating to various sectors of the economy, ease of doing business, enhancement of country's export, input cost and taxation were discussed during the meeting. The delegation appreciated the steps taken by the present government, especially addressing law and order, the energy crisis, and taking the business community and other stakeholders on board in putting in place the business-friendly environment in the country. Minister for Commerce and Textile Muhammad Pervez Malik was also present during the meeting. Foreign Minister Khwaja Mohammad Asif says Pakistan and Afghanistan can successfully fight the war against terror through mutual trust. Talking to newsmen after visiting Afghan embassy in Islamabad today to condole the deaths caused by recent terrorist incidents in Kabul, he said such happenings remind us the need for closer cooperation to eradicate terrorism. He said Pakistan and Afghanistan will have to work together to address the challenge. The minister said there is strong desire on both sides of Pakistan and Afghanistan for peace in the region. Khwaja Mohammad Asif said campaign against terror is our common war and we will have to fight it out together. To a question, he said meetings of high-level Afghan delegation with Pakistani leadership have been constructive and positive. The foreign minister said visit of the Afghan delegation also demonstrated will of the two countries to join hands in fighting the war against terror. Afghan Ambassador Omar Zaghilwal thanked the foreign minister for sharing grief of Afghan people. He said mutual discussions and good relations are necessary for elimination of the monster of terrorism. President Mamnoon Hussain says Pakistan is desirous of further strengthening its relations with brotherly countries. He was talking to diplomats of Turkey, South Korea, and Malaysia who presented their credentials to him in Islamabad today. The president urged them to play active role for improvement of bilateral relations. The president has summoned the National Assembly's session at the Parliament House in Islamabad on 12th of this month at 5 p.m. Supreme Court declaring Sindh High Court verdict in Shahzeb murder case null and void has ordered the arrest of Shah Rukh Jatoi and other accused. The court directed the authorities concerned to put the names of accused on the exit control list. The court also revived the clauses related to the terrorism in the case. The Apex Court directed Sindh High Court to constitute new bench for hearing of the case and decide it within 2 months. This is Radio Pakistan. Secretary Election Commission Babar Yaqub Fateh Muhammad has said that schedule for the Senate of Pakistan elections will be issued tomorrow. Talking to media in Islamabad today, he said Senate elections will be held as per schedule. Bullet-riddled bodies of senior politician and Sindh Minister for Planning and Development, Mir Hazar Khan Bajrani, and his wife have been recovered from their residence in Karachi. Police have started investigation into the matter. 7 passengers died in a road accident in Khizr today. The accident occurred when a van coming from Gupis skidded off the road at Hopper and fell into a ravine. Radio Pakistan would be airing special programs on 5th February to express solidarity with the Kashmiri people struggling for their right to self-determination. These programs would highlight different aspects of struggle of Kashmiri people for liberation of their homeland from Indian subjugation. The programs would include special reports, live coverage of various events, discussions, interviews, and special mushairas and plays. In occupied Kashmir, a march will be conducted towards Shopian town tomorrow to register protest against the surge in civilian killings by Indian troops in the territory. Call for the march has been given by the Joint Resistance Leadership. The resistance leaders have urged the people to converge at Shopian in large number and offer congregational prayers at Jamia Masjid. The United Nations says that Myanmar military's violent operations against Rohingya Muslims bear the hallmarks of the genocide. The UN Special Envoy on Human Rights in Myanmar, Yang Hee Lee, told reporters in Seoul today that she couldn't make a definite declaration about genocide until a credible international tribunal or court had weighed the evidence, but we are seeing signs of genocide. At least 49 militants of Kurdish Workers' Party have been killed in Turkish warplanes targeted their hideouts in northern Iraq. Turkish armed forces in a statement said today that airstrikes were carried out in the Assos Kandil, Zeb, Avicen, Besyan and Hakruk regions. The Turkish military also destroyed shelters, hideouts and weapon positions of the militant group, which was believed to be preparing an attack on Turkish borders post. A high-level military delegation comprising officials from Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates arrived in Aden to enforce the Arab coalition's calls for a ceasefire between the warring groups. In a joint statement, the delegation stressed the need for the return of stability and an end to the fighting in Yemen. The statement added that UAE and Saudi Arabia have the same goal for Yemen to remain a stable, peaceful, and legitimate country. A UAE spokesperson of the delegation said that they will stand by Yemen and that the nation's interest should come above any differences. New Zealand has called for a de-escalation of the Korean Peninsula, saying it will support imposition of economic sanctions against North Korea. In an interview, New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said her country should maintain a close relationship with the United States even if they don't agree on the issue. She said the tensions surrounding North Korea are threatening the regional security. And finally, the weather report. Mainly cold and dry weather is expected in most parts of the country during the next 24 hours. However, light rain with snowfall over the hills is expected at few places in Malakand Division and Gilgit-Baltistan. To end the news headlines once again. Prime Minister has urged private sector to play a leading role towards enhancement of country's exports. Foreign Minister has underlined the need for Pak-Afghan joint efforts to eradicate terrorism. Election Commission will issue schedule for the Senate elections tomorrow. 7 people have died in a road mishap in Khizr today. And that is the end of the news. For more news and analyses, log on to our website, radio.gov.pk, and also watch live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com Radio Pakistan News Official.